Thank you.
And welcome to the Cedar Falls regular City Council meeting this August 20th, 2018. I'll now call this meeting to order and ask for a roll call from Madam Clerk, please.
Miller.
Here.
DeBoer.
Here.
Cruz.
Here.
Blanford.
Here.
Dara.
Here.
Wheeland.
Here.
Green.
Here.
All members present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item C, is there a motion to approve the minutes of August 6th?
So moved. Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll take a moment here to read a proclamation. It reads in part, whereas in July 2018, people with disabilities and our supporters celebrated the 28th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA. And whereas there are over 50 million people with disabilities of all ages living in communities throughout the United States, and whereas the disability community has a critical interest in policies enacted at local, state, and national levels that affect the integration of people with disabilities, young and mature, into our communities, and whereas there is a national effort to encourage local and/or state disability voting coalitions to register, educate, and vote. Now therefore, I, Jim Brown, Mayor of the City of Cedar Falls, recognize the annual celebration of Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, and support the growing involvement of the disability community in our political process. Signed this 20th day of August 2018. I believe we have a gentleman here to speak on behalf of the ADA and what happened.
Yes, my name is Eric Dunat, Mr. Mayor, and I'm with the Black Hawk County Disability Caucus. And I wanted to read a statement for a second here, and it reads this. Let us recognize that people with disabilities are an integral part of our community and contribute to our society. I want to thank the people of the City of Cedar Falls and our supporters in the disability community here for being a huge support in putting this celebration of the ADA anniversary together. And I would like to thank and recognize Tucker Cassidy and Sherry Kiskunis for their leadership in our Disability Caucus and efforts with organizing tonight's event and acknowledgement with this proclamation. So thank you, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Moving on to item D, are there any agenda revisions, Madam Clerk?
I have no revisions, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'll now turn things over to Director Olson for swearing in of new officers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight we have the privilege of swearing in 3 public safety officers and 2 paid-on-call reserve officers. So what I'd like to do is give a brief bio of each one before we start. First one is Officer Cedric Danielson. He was raised in Urbandale, Iowa, graduated from the University of Northern Iowa in 2016 with a BA in criminology. He currently serves in the Iowa National Guard as an infantryman in the 133rd Infantry Battalion. He was hired in April. He just graduated from the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy, and that graduation was Wednesday of last week, and during that graduation he received a fitness award for excellent in fitness for achieving the maximum score you can in the fitness award, so congratulations to him on that. Officer Liesel Reimers was raised in Fruitland, Iowa. She graduated from Wartburg College in 2018 with a degree in sociology and criminal justice. She played basketball in Wartburg as well. She was hired in April. She just graduated from the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy on Wednesday as well, and received recognition for being the class secretary and treasurer. Officer Jose Velasco was born in Mexico. He moved to the United States when he was 11 years old. He was raised in California. He's been employed at Target Distribution for the last 11 years. He graduated from Hawkeye Community College in 2018 with a degree in criminal justice. He obtained his U.S. citizenship at age 38 in 2017. He's very fluent in Spanish. In fact, we've already used him a couple of times as an interpreter for the police department, so that has come in very handy. He'll attend the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy beginning on September 10th. And then maybe I should explain briefly what a paid-on-call reserve officer is. That is a city employee who has a full-time job within the city already, but wants to serve part-time on the police department. So we bring them on in a reserve capacity, and they do additional hours on top of their 40 hours a week with the police department. So the first individual we have here is Angie Lindley. She's been employed at the city for the last 3 years as a graphic designer, and she's an Iowa State graduate. She's also an adjunct professor at Wartburg College. The second paid on-call reserve employee is Nick Erickson. He graduated from Hawkeye Community College with an AA degree in Civil and Construction Engineering Technology. He's worked for the city for the last 2 years as an engineering tech. He's currently completing his reserve officer training. And then even though as I mentioned, we had a graduation on Wednesday, also graduating, but he's already been sworn in, is Nolan Young. And I wanted to mention Nolan because he received the academic award at ILEA for the highest GPA out of that class. So congratulations to Nolan.
Sounds great. Thank you, Jeff. Can we have the candidates come forward? And if I can have you raise your right arm, please. Right hand. Let me repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the state of Iowa, the charter laws and ordinances of the city of Cedar Falls, the rules and regulations of the Cedar Falls Police Department, the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of my position as police officer to the best of my ability. Congratulations. Now I'm going to have folks who are significant others to pin the badge on each one of the folks represented up here. So go ahead. I can do my first one.
That doesn't make a good picture.
Let's give these folks a hand as they come around and shake hands.
Welcome. Congratulations. Welcome. Congratulations and welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
Congratulations and welcome.
Welcome. Congratulations. Good to have you. Congratulations.
Congratulations and welcome.
Thanks.
Congratulations and welcome. Congratulations, Angie, way to go.
Moving on in the agenda this evening, item F is special order of business. F1 is a public hearing of proposed plans for the Cedar Falls Public Library remodel project. Is there a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
So move.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any written objections filed with the city clerk?
I have no written objections on file, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Before we open up to the public, I believe Craig Witchery will hear for oral comments here in the city. Is that right?
Yes.
Microphone, please, Craig.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Jay and I are here to represent this project. We've been working with ISG Architects, which is formerly Structure Architects, and Dan Channer. Dan was part of the design team on the original library. We're working on or proposing a 909 square foot remodeling project of the existing some existing second floor space of the library. This space is going to be a co-lab, and I'm going to let Jay kind of explain a little bit of that to you, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Thank you.
Good evening. Yes, the CoLab stands for Collaborative Laboratory, so we just making it short and sweet. That's the specific term for what we're building at our library in Cedar Falls. The generic term is makerspace. Now, many of you may have heard of makerspaces. UNI's got one. They just recently opened one at Waterloo Public Library. It's a movement across libraries around the country to work with both tech and craft to provide that as a service to the public, to members of the public of all ages. So you can have everything from Lego kits and robots for the young ones to various forms of 3D printing or scanning of historical documents for folks who are a bit older, and anybody of any age who wants to create a textile garment or to work with the tools that we will provide. It has been mentioned before in this context, but I think if you have any questions at this point, we would be happy to take those.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks, Craig. We'll open up to the public for public comment. Hearing and seeing none, declare the hearing closed. Item 2 is a resolution approving and adopting the plans for the Cedar Falls Public Library remodel project. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion second. Any further discussion by council? This requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 3 is a public hearing, the proposed plans for the 2018 Seal Coat project. Is there a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
So moved.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item B is written objections filed with City Clerk.
I have no written objections on file, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And again, before we go to public oral comments, I'll have City Engineer John Ressler give a brief update for this public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor Brown, members of the council. So this project is our 2018 Seal Coat project, which will resurface portions of 11 street sections and 1 driveway totaling 2.8 miles. In addition, we'll resurface multiple single-lane drives within 2 of our cemeteries and also at the North Shore Boat Club. Total estimated cost for the project is $145,122.04, with funding coming from the local option sales tax.
Thank you, John. Open up for any public comment in the public hearing. Hearing and seeing none, declare the hearing closed. Item 4 is a resolution approving and adopting the plans for the 2018 Seal Coat project. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion second. Any further discussion from council? Requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item G is old business. G1 is Pass Ordinance 2928, amending Chapter 6 of the Code of Ordinances relative to butchering and disposal of dead animals upon its third and final consideration. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion from council? Roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 2 is Pass Ordinance 2929, amending Chapter 20 and 27 of the Code of Ordinances relative to the city's floodplain regulations upon its second consideration. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And finally, in item G is G3, Pass Ordinance 2930, rezoning property located at Midway Business Park Addition. This is upon its second consideration. Is there a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion from council? Roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item H is new business. H1 is the consent calendar. The following items will be acted upon by a voice vote on a single motion without separate discussion unless someone from the council or the public requests an item to be pulled separately for such discussion. Any such requests from council? From the public? I'll highlight the areas of the consent calendar. Item A is receive and file the committee of the whole minutes of August 6 relative to the downtown design review and bills and payroll. B is receive and file the administration committee minutes of July 23rd. C is receive and file the report of the July 23rd joint meeting of the City Council and utility boards at the CFU. Item D is receive and file the bid received for the 2018 sidewalk assessment project. E is approving special event-related requests, and F is approve applications for permits and licenses. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved. Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion from council? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 2 is the resolution calendar. These items will be acted upon by a roll call vote in a single motion without separate discussion, unless someone from the council or the public requests an item to be pulled as such. Is there any request from council? From the public? Hearing and seeing none, I'll summarize the resolution calendar. Item A is resolution approving and authorizing execution of a memorandum of understanding with the City of Waterloo and Black Hawk County relative to funding for the Tri-County Drug Enforcement Task Force. B is approving and authorizing execution of a first-year extension of an agreement for custodial services for the city. C is approving the partial release of retainage funds for the University Avenue Reconstruction Project. D is approving and accepting the bid for the 2018 sidewalk assessment project. E is approving final occupancy of the Aldrich Elementary School prior to the acceptance of the public improvements in McMahill First Edition. F is approving and authorizing a change order for the 2017 levy project. G is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a developmental agreement and approving a site plan for the redevelopment of the old Hy-Vee. H is approving and authorizing execution of amendment to agreement for private development. H is approving and adopting amendments to the city's low-rent housing plan. J is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of an amendment to restrictions agreement and transfer of ownership and approving and authorizing execution of a subordination agreement. K is approving and authorizing a change order to a rehabilitation contract relative to a CDBG housing rehabilitation project. L is resolution approving and accepting a lien notice and special promissory note relative to the conversion incentive program. And M is a resolution setting September 4th as date of public on proposed amendments to Chapter 29 zoning of the Code of Ordinances relative to design guidelines in the Central Business Overlay Zoning District. Is there a motion to approve the resolution calendar?
So moved.
Any discussion from council? This requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item I, is there a motion to approve bills and payroll?
So moved.
Motion second. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item J, does council have any items for referral this evening? Hearing and seeing none, does council item K have any council updates? I would like to interject here and introduce a video that was sent to me for the Place to Play playground. It's going to play. It's about literally a minute, and I say a minute, it's a minute, so it's not that much longer. If Denny can cue that up, a great celebration here upcoming for the city, and some folks working on it.
Countless volunteers, thousands of volunteer hours, pop cans, bake sales, auctions, bracelet sales, birthday parties, pumpkin sales, grants, monetary donations, in-kind donations, and it all added up to just over $1 million. So now it's time to celebrate. Mark your calendars for Saturday, September 29th. That morning, we'll be having a groundbreaking ceremony right here at Green Hill City Park, the future site of the Place to Play Park. So I'm gonna grab my hard hat, grab my shovel, and I'll meet you here. See you there. Thank you, everybody. We did it! We did it!
We did it.
We did it!
We did it! We did it!
Okay, all right. That was good.
Great work by those folks. Any other council updates this evening? Hearing and seeing none, moving on to item L as a public forum. Speakers have one opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes on topics germane to city business. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak this evening? I see a few. Can we start with Mr. Brown, if you don't mind, sir?
Butch Brown, 421 Spruce Hills Drive. Every day, when I look out my windows, I see the backup of traffic on Green Hill Road from Main Street past Pinnacle Prairie Parkway. That is an accident waiting to happen. So I don't think this council should wait, or the city should wait until you get a study or whatever done down there. There needs to be some help down there now. Thank you.
Thank you, Butch. Appreciate that. I just want some clarification. The study is on its way, and I think we're sort of waiting a little bit as far as timing is concerned, but the reason that may be backing up further now is because indeed the green turn arrows are in place. Stephanie, can you help fill in? I know we did a mayor's corner on that.
Yes, the interim changes that we made were after taking a look at the traffic volumes there and comments we received from the public. We were hearing a lot of concerns about the safety of the intersection and particularly left turning movements. So while we were finding that the level of service was operating pretty well there, due to the safety concerns, we made some changes by adding some protected left turns. So that adds to the timing of the intersection, so everybody has to wait a little bit longer since everybody gets their turn. So that's the interim improvement. So we knew that there would be delays, and so that means there could be some backups. As we're working on the Green Hill Road traffic study, we will be having one more public meeting on that before bringing that forward to council. The public meeting will probably be at the end of September. We'll be in front of council in October, we hope, and then that kind of sets the vision for our capital improvements plans going forward.
Thank you, Stephanie. Ms. Pop, do you mind going next? I saw down the line.
Mayor, Council, my name is Penny Pop. I live at 4805 South Main Street. Recently, a lot of construction has been occurring in the southern part of Cedar Falls. Roads, houses, and businesses. And what do they all have in common? Well, that's concrete. The pouring, cutting, and cleanup of concrete. Now, why would that be of concern to our City Council? Let me provide you with a recent example. At an active construction site, tie-ins were poured. Cuts for expansions were made, dried, and blown out. A dust cloud settled on the surrounding homes and stayed. It was one of those days where the wind could not be found. Inquiries were made about what had occurred to the city, and the city responded the best they could. The city can ask contractors to follow best practices to protect the site as well as their workers. OSHA has strict guidelines for best practices and wet cutting concrete and dust mitigation and cleanup. Now, the State Urban Design and Specification, or SUDIS, also addresses best practices for construction sites, its workers, and the surrounding areas. But who protects the citizens? In this example, we are left with no remedy. Discussions and the best laid plans are no match for code enforcement. The contractor agreed that the dust cloud was formed using a dry cleanup method instead of a wet cleanup method. The residents were assured it would not happen again. But in 2 short weeks, at 6 in the morning, dry saw cutting of concrete occurred. The dust cloud enveloped the worker, the cars driving by, the runner, and the surrounding neighborhood. Again, the city was contacted, discussions occurred. What option for compliance did the city have in this example? A possible citation for construction noise prior to 7 a.m. The contractor can protect itself and its workers through actively applying OSHA guidelines and best practices. Problem solved. Until next time. In just this one example, who ultimately paid a price? Was it the city, the contractor, the workers, or was it the residents? My point being, federal guidelines and best practices exist. State guidelines and best practices exist. And at the local level, the city has no remedy to enforce it. Tonight, I am asking you, our City Council, to step forward, make a referral, discuss, request, and approve new basic building codes that would address dust mitigation and cleanup as a result of wet cutting concrete and prohibit the dry cutting of concrete in all construction, residential, and commercial, no exceptions. I am asking this for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens that you represent. Now, as the city continues to grow, let's be an example of a city that leads and has the forethought of the consequences that are occurring today and the effects on tomorrow, next year, and decades to come. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Pop. Greg, I know you helped Ms. Pop in those 2 circumstances, and certainly it wasn't pleasant, and anyone living around there wouldn't have been pleasant, but we did get a hold of the subcontractor. Not supposed to happen again for as far as the dry cutting and the time frame?
That's correct, Mayor. Immediately upon receiving Ms. Pop's complaint or description of work that took place, I contacted the contractor, the general contractor, the subcontractor. I've been assured both in writing and verbally that this won't happen again. I talked to the subcontractor personally myself, and just today we even got a letter from the subcontractor, and he's disciplined his people. They have the proper equipment, they just didn't use it. And his people have been disciplined twice, once with a verbal warning, once with a written warning, and he said that if they do it again, they'll be terminated. And furthermore, the crew that he has had working down here won't be here again in Cedar Falls. So they've worked really hard, Mayor, and I have high hopes that everything works itself out and we get a good, successful conclusion.
Very good. Thank you, Craig.
Yes, sir.
Anything further from council staff? Ms. Rosemary?
Good evening again. I'm sorry about that last bit. I just couldn't help myself with the animals. Okay. Rosemary Beach, Western Home Community. I want about 3 quick things I'd like to just ask about. And one is, months ago, I asked if when you did Main Street and you were not going to be doing it completely, was anything going to happen to those big lumps in the area of the fire department? And I was assured by one of the council people not to worry because it was a frost lift. Well, I think frost is gone. Are you going further through that intersection where, if you're going from north to south and you've gone across where the fire station is, there are lumps in that piece of road that I've hit for years. And it just seems to me if you could just, I don't know, what do? Saw them down or sand them down a little bit? I don't know. But I don't know whether you're finishing further down First Street or not.
First Street or Main
Or
Street?
Main Street, I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll find out. Continue, and we'll ask staff afterwards so they can
Okay,
prepare.
it just is an irritation, and it seems to me if we aren't going to get a whole new street one of these days, maybe we could get rid of those bumps. The other another thing is I've asked numerous times, and I'm still back to ask, is about the 35 miles an hour on South Main. You can go 35 miles an hour from University to the rec center. You can go 35 miles an hour from the bridge about or the dog park, a little past that, clear out to the end of the Western Home. You can go clear to the end where there's an end. And that one little patch in there is still stuck at 30. And it just is another, I guess, irritation, which seems to me that it doesn't need to happen, that we, with all the traffic that's out there, it would be nice if we just had a continual problem, not one that you had to stop every once in a while. And I recently basically came because I drove by where the trailhead used to be on South Main, where all the disruption was. Now, I sent to people early on, a long time ago, the fact that the last time it was discussed, way back when, that was going to be cemented for a parking area. And I know I've talked to people, I know it's not supposed to happen because we don't have the money, and it's not a trailhead, and yes, we've got a plan, and it's going to happen in 2021, I don't know. I saw a car there tonight, sitting in the mud, and people taking that trail. That is the place where Western Home people come to walk quite frequently. It is shaded, it has benches. You go from, like the dog park area is the easiest way to say that, down to the end and back. They like that part. Do we have to make people get out in mud for a year? Is that it? Or forever? I don't know. It was at least usable before the last construction, and now it's not even usable. So I don't know who to ask. I know the money's evidently not there, but common sense says you really need to do something for your people who live out there that want to take that piece of trail. They take it all winter, and they're going to be in mud up to their hubcaps. So those are my 3 wants. I don't know if anybody else in the world wants them, but it seems to me they're all pretty simple. So thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. Further in the intersections through Main Street, can you give us an update there? Are we done? Is there other things to be happening there?
There's still work yet to be done. Actually, tomorrow our crews will be working, our contractor will be working at the intersection of 12th and South Main. We'll be closing that intersection and doing grinding down and then an overlay in that complete intersection. And then the following day on Wednesday, 18th and Main, we'll have the same treatment. So both of those intersections will be much smoother soon.
It's a complete closure for both those intersections the next 2 days?
Correct.
Weather permitting, I'm assuming?
A complete closure for 12th and Main tomorrow, and a complete closure then on Wednesday at 18th and Main,
good to get
when
out.
12th is back open. Yes, press releases have gone out on that.
Okay, very good. Anything further from council, previous speaker? Mr. Manning?
I could address just a couple other points if you would like, Mr. Mayor.
Sure, that's fine. Go ahead.
On the speed limit request, we did have a committee discussion a couple months ago related to that. I could look up when we discussed that, but the outcome of that was to leave the speed limit the way it was on South Main in that particular section. And then finally, on the last question about parking in that area, that is an item that we will put forward in the CIP, and we will see if that's something that can be funded.
Thank you, appreciate that. Mr. Manning?
Good evening, Bob Manning, 2908 West 3rd Street, Cedar Falls, Iowa. I'm the executive officer for the Cedar Valley Home Builders Association. And this weekend is our 16th annual Parade of Homes. We're excited about that because there are 12 homes presented by 7 different builders in four of our communities in the Cedar Valley. We're much more spread out than we were last year. There was a large concentration of new homes in the parade right around Aldrich School, which was excellent. That was very high in demand on many people's list of where they wanted to locate. This year we have houses in Elk Run Heights, in Hudson, several in Waterloo, and 7 in Cedar Falls. And that's exciting for us. It's a chance for the public to get out and to see brand new houses. Sometimes you only want to remodel a kitchen or a bathroom, or you may be thinking, you know, there's only 126 days till Christmas, and maybe that's what I should be getting my spouse as a special surprise, a new house. What a great idea. Certainly to have a chance to look around is an opportunity. There's many different styles. The parade dates are this Thursday through Sunday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Thursday and Friday, and 1 to 4 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday. Tickets are available at a discount on WCFparade.com, WCFparade.com. I hope that doesn't sound too much like a commercial. But we do want people to be able to buy ahead of time rather than paying cash, or you can pay cash at the door, certainly. There's new home construction is always an important part of our employment and our economy. You know, for every house that's built in the Cedar Valley, it averages 3,000 hours per people time to build that house. That's 1.5 persons a year that's employed with one house. And with over 300 units being built in the Cedar Valley, that's 450 people who are fully employed during that period, during a 1-year period of time. So not only is it an important part of our economy, but it gives people an opportunity to go out and kick the tires and see what's out there. Now, there's a lot of housing things going on. The Grant Museum has their older house exhibit is this weekend. I believe it's Sunday. I'm not sure on that. There's also the Gallery of Homes that the Courier just presented online this past weekend. The Courier is one of our media partners, and so they'll be advertising the Parade of Homes also. But we certainly encourage you to come out and check it out. We did have to call the Cedar Falls Police Department to find out some of the names of the new streets, such as Red Oak Lane, Prairie Dock Road, and Cedar Falls. We're ahead of Google, folks. Google didn't know where they were at, so we had to put little directions on our maps that we provide to show people where Red Oak Lane is and Prairie Dock Road. Also, new one in Hudson is Partridge Lane and Kestrel Avenue in Waterloo in the Blue Wing development there. So a lot of exciting things happening in housing and an opportunity for people to see what's new in housing for 2018.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it as always. Anything further? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.